Welcome to The Brass Junkies, a podcast from the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network featuring interviews with the world's greatest brass players by two thoroughly average ones, Lance LaDuke and myself, Andrew Hitz. Today's episode features the tuba player, pianist, and writer for Presidio Brass, Scott Sutherland. He tells us all about life on the road, the process of writing a brand new show for the quintet, and how the group got their start. He also talks about why they no longer have a horn player, the value of having people who can sing and play piano in a brass quintet, and how they go about getting gigs. He tells us all about it next. Hello and welcome to the Brass Junkies. I am your host, Andrew Hitz, and I am joined by my co-host, Lance LaDuke. How are you doing this fine morning, Lance?
I'm swell.
You're swell. Okay, that's good. Understated, but good. Before we introduce our guest, who is a fellow tuba player, which at this point everyone will continue listening because we're usually insightful and educating and virtuosic, as I like to say. We will. I wanted to mention two things. First of all, if you have the opportunity, a number of you have already done this, but if you could go to the iTunes store and give us a rating, unless you're going to give us like a 1, then you could probably just skip that. But you can give us a rating, and if you have a moment, if you could write a quick review, it would help other people to find our incredibly inspirational podcast here. And we're planning on rolling out the inspirational part over time. We just haven't quite gotten there yet. It's mainly been the guests that have been the problem, but we're working on that. So, but not today's guest. You're wonderful, Scott. So the other thing actually is I'll keep this quick, but it's actually a very serious thing. Is that I just got back late last night from a trip to Boston, where for the memorial service of a very dear friend of mine from growing up, who unfortunately lost his battle with cancer last week, and he was 32 years old. His name was TJ Bedanza, and he was an absolutely an incredible. I know you say this about everyone when they pass because it's the right thing to do, but he was an incredible human being, and he has a website called beatthechallenge.org, which is there is a blog up there, and especially and our very first interview, as those of you who have listened to all the episodes know, was Ryan Anthony. So the subject of cancer and of fighting cancer is near and dear to Lance and my hearts, and also to our entire audience. And while TJ physically lost his battle, the blog that is up on beatthechallenge.org, if you're dealing with any adversity, whether it's cancer or anything, if you read this blog, you'll be moved to tears with how wise this I call him a kid because he was kind of like my little brother, but for someone who was 29, 30, 31, 32 writing these things, it's amazing. And there's a place to donate there where you can help, where he's raised a lot of money for cancer research, which is incredibly important. And I doubt there's anyone listening to my voice right now that has not either had someone that they're directly connected with, affected by cancer, or someone that they know who has had someone directly affected, because it affects us all. So, all right. So, TJ would be very mad if I kept the tone of this very lighthearted podcast down in the dumps. So, to not anger him, we're going to now awkwardly segue to lightening things up immediately. So, I'm going to ask our guest today, who is Scott Sutherland of the Presidio Brass Quintet. I'm going to ask you to say something really funny right out of the gate. No pressure.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
This is just awesome.
We're really happy to have you.
Where's the bus that you just threw me under? Yeah, that's good.
I
wish you could have seen the face too that came before the wow.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a face. Yeah, you can blame that on Lance, that segue, because I actually learned from Lance that before Lance got into Boston Brass, like when I was on the mic and when the crowd seemed to kind of either not be buying what I was selling or was starting to turn on me because I was like making too much fun of Jeff or somebody other than myself, then I used to try and like right the ship and then try and save things. But Lance taught me to double down and to see if you could get them to fully turn on you and just like it makes you feel alive. So I was like, you know what? This could be incredibly awkward if I just throw this right at.
I've been in that situation to try to right the ship far too much. I need to double down. This is good stuff.
That's I think that's probably the full podcast, right? That's what everyone needs to do.
Well, that's your inspiration right there.
Yeah. So I will have to say, at least on a personal level, and judging by the fact that Lance is no longer married, I'm going to speak for Lance too. That does not work when you're telling jokes to your wife and they're falling flat. You should not double down on attempting to be funny. Would you agree with that, Lance?
Well, it depends on the outcome you're looking for.
if you're looking to get your own apartment, then maybe that's actually a really great strategy. All right, so we've touched on cancer and divorce. What else should we go to religion next, or should we go politics?
What are we thinking? Famine, but we could go to.
What are your thoughts on famine, Scott? Yeah. Anyway, all right. This is good. This is the first of 3 consecutive interviews this morning for the Brass Junkies, and if we're already this punchy, then it's going to be interesting interviewing Harry and Fred. So all right. So Scott, you have got a lot of really cool stuff going on. First of all, you have an annoying number of talents, and that go far beyond tuba, and a lot of them, that are integrated into the Presidio show. So, can you tell us about the other instrument you play and about your writing, and just kind of get us started that way?
Yeah. In addition to tuba, I'm also the piano player in the group. I took lessons for about 5 years as a kid and just kind of kept with it, kind of self-taught jazz. And that's been a really integral part of the sound over the last few years with Presidio adding that piano. It allowed us to do some different tunes that we wouldn't normally have done. I did an arrangement of American in Paris, for instance, that includes some percussion, includes some piano. It adds, a tonal palette that it makes it more interesting than just brass quintet 24/7. So I do all the writing for the group by and large, and and the piano stuff. It's a great vehicle for these other things that I've cultivated and plugging them in.
Yeah, I really love the, like you said, there's just this whole nother tonality that is available, which can be lacking, which as all 3 of us know, even just adding a little percussion with a brass quintet at times completely changes things, but a piano just turns it on its head tonally, and it helps with opens up the repertoire, and the fine print is that you have to play the piano really well, which is where the annoying part comes in because you're incredible at it. So that's the
thanks, man.
That's the important part. So how did you first? Whose idea was it to add? Did I'm going to finish this sentence eventually, and it's going to be exciting for everyone when that finally happens. Did you always have piano in Presidio, or was that something that was added after the fact?
You're right. Actually, very excited by you completing a sentence. That was awesome.
Bravo.
Thank you. I'll be here literally all morning.
No, we started just as a brass quintet. In fact, we were very much the kind of the empire model, and we did. I still did a lot of custom arranging for the group, but it was all brass quintet for the first 2 or 3 years, and then one of the members wanted to do Bohemian Rhapsody, and he was struggling with arranging it for just the 5 guys, especially the first half of the tune. And so I said, well, man, I could play that part. and it also would be a chop break for a lot of the guys, going back and forth. So he wrote that arrangement with the piano part in there, and the audience loved it. It's a great tune, anyways, but audience loved just kind of the changes of sound, and then as soon as we did that, we're like, well, God, we got to do this more. Trumpet players loved it. They got the horn off their face,
Well, the only problem is that when the horn's off their face, then they start talking. So you can't win.
No, what's great is that in Presidio, when the horns are off the trumpet players' faces, we get them off the stage. So it's an added bonus.
Wow, that's
smart move.
Yeah, no kidding. I think Scott should be interviewing us. Yeah, that's because we've got a lot to learn. We could, and by interview I mean do some consulting work for us. So,
how long's the band been around, and how'd you guys get together?
We've been around for 9 years. Originally, the group started. The original trombone player Sean Royce and I met in college, and we wanted to do some music education outreach work because all the music programs in the state of California were getting cut drastically. So we wanted to do some more work like that. And but as soon as we got a group together, one of the members had a relationship with an organization called Live on Stage, which does some national touring. And man, right out of the gate, we got a contract to do some touring stuff. We didn't know anything about business. I got a mini MBA with the hundreds of dollars I spent in books and hours online researching websites and such. I even set up a fake email address and emailed all the major touring brass quintets, posing as a band booster president wanting to bring the brass quintet into my school. And I got everyone's press kit from that. So just getting everyone's press kit, it was a huge education. Like, I had no idea what was in a press kit. I had no idea what it should look like, what any of the pictures should be, what the bios should look like. I had no idea. So I got like 5 brass quintet press kits from that. It was great. So and they kept calling me, but I didn't return their emails.
So
That is awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's one of the best Brass Junkies tidbits yet. The see, when I dropped that bomb at your feet right at the top, you could have said, like, I once fake email 5 professional. You could have just led right with that. We would have been off.
Steve Adams was really interested in bringing in a brass quintet.
Steve Adams. That's Steve
Jeff
Adams.
Connor is still sending texts to that guy.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. So please tell me that you emailed Jeff. Did you? Yes.
Well, it was Alliance. It was Alliance.
Okay.
I contacted.
All right. Yeah, there you go. That's fantastic. There's a good chance that Jeff still is. Yeah, he's in a good way. He's a bulldog, but he doesn't really drop things very well. So, yeah, he's like, I am going to. 2016 is the year I will get Steve Adams to respond to me. That's really funny. Well, Jeff's already been a guest on the Entrepreneurial Musician with me, and for whatever reason, it was really well received. So we're gonna have him on here, and we can. I think we should lead off by asking him about Steve Adams. What do you think, Lance? Hi. All right. So now we're just gonna.
Hey, explain how Live on Stage works.
Okay, so Live on Stage is an organization. Well, Jeff mentioned it on Entrepreneurial Musician. Basically, it picked up the pieces that were left over from when community concerts folded around 2000, 2001, somewhere in there, 2002.
Yeah, maybe 2002.
And Live on Stage kind of picked up some of those associations, and so it's a larger company that organizes tours for these small towns throughout the United States. I want to say they do 100, 150 different concert associations throughout the nation, and they will put together a roster each year, new roster each year, and then the presenters will come to a conference. They'll pick whatever artists that they want, and then Live on Stage organizes those tours, and it was a ton of work. I mean, we were out on the road for 90 days that first year. after being together for only 2 years. So we didn't have much of a product, but they were buying what we were selling, and it was a great experience right out of the gate.
So how do you get on their roster? I mean, explain the showcase process.
Well, it's a application that is you got hundreds and hundreds of artists that are applying now. We were fortunate at the beginning because of the association with community concerts. Not a lot of people were going with live on stage or knew what they were offering and what they were going with. So there was a smaller applicant pool when we applied almost 10 years ago. And now it's a pretty lengthy process. A lot of people want to be on that roster. It's quite lucrative if you do it right. If you get accepted, you fly to Nashville at the very beginning of August, and you play a 15-minute snippet of your show. And if the audience likes what you're doing, they'll ask that you be a part of their touring, or their season that particular year. And then Live on Stage takes it away from there.
So, have you done much with Allied concerts?
No, not yet. Not yet. That's something that we're shooting for.
So those are kind of the two biggies in the country: is Live on Stage and Allied. Dave Folan runs that other one. So you guys have gone through. You've just come out of a big transformation. You want to talk about that, personnel-wise?
Yeah, we had a number of members over the last year win other jobs. We had one guy, a trumpet player, TJ Tesh, won a job with the Navy Academy Band in Annapolis. Jeff Harrigan, trombone player, won a position with the Barnum Bailey's Circus Band. He's an assistant conductor and trombone player for them, touring 330 days out of the year. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's
like young brass
pretty much all of our reactions
like,
too.
Hey, that's awesome. And all the old guys are like, "Oh no!"
If they invite 50 people to the audition, whoever the 50th best person, that's who they should make tour for 330 days.
That's punishment.
Oh, wow, that's horrible. At least for me right now. Yeah, all of it. Did you see Lance and I? Both of our hands went to our foreheads instantly at the exact same time on this guy. Like, wait, what did he just say? That's basically every day.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Insanity. But he loves it. We just saw him in Baltimore at a Performing Arts Exchange for the conference there, and it was a great time catching up with him. So we had a number of positions open up just within almost a month, and so we got a new trumpet player, Miles McAllister, a Los Angeles-based guy. Josh Bledsoe is a trombone player from Pensacola, fabulous trombone player, and singer too. He also plays guitar. So we're adding to the tonal palette, which is awesome. And then when our horn player left to stay home. He was our original horn player, Mike McCoy. After 9 years of being on the road, he decided to hang it up and stay home with his family, which was great. We actually switched over to Euphonium, trombone Euphonium in Jeff Durbin.
There's no future in that. Why would you do that?
No. I didn't think so either. But Jeff plays the snot out of the euphonium, and he sounds like $1 million. And so he's playing all these ridiculously high horn parts.
That's because it's not that hard.
The illusion is there. It's alive. So no, but the group's going great. Yeah, it's been a blast.
So you have two trumpets and a trombone, euphonium, and a trombone and tuba. In addition to piano and guitar and singing and that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. So all the commercial stuff is all bell front, which is puts a lot of sound off the stage into the audience, which is great. It's a little bit more Monozzle-ish, in terms of just amount of sound off the stage. And then you still have that conical sound for the horn parts, which is great. So
when the three guys left, did you think about just shutting it down? I mean, at this point you're a duet. What caused you to to decide to retool instead of just hanging it up?
We've if that was the first time that we had any kind of changeover, I probably would have freaked out. In fact, the first time that we had someone leave after we had a stable group for 5 years, and we had a guy, Bill Owens, leave for the West Point band. He was associate principal up there in West Point, and when he left, it was shocking to me. I literally 5 minutes after he told me he was leaving for the band, I called up Jeff Connor. I said, Jeff, what do I do?
Hey, Jeff, this is
Save me,
Steve.
Jeff.
This is Steve.
This is Steve Adams. I know you haven't heard from me since that one request for a press kit years ago.
I've pivoted from being a concert presenter to now I actually own a brass quintet. We'll call it Schmrisidio Brass Quintet, and we have a trumpet opening. Help me.
Yeah. Oh man, but Jeff is a godsend, man. What a great guy, and so knowledgeable. He was so cool.
So what did he tell you?
I feel bad for deceiving him, but only a little bit bad.
Oh no, get over that.
Yeah, that smile doesn't say I feel bad.
Well, what was his advice? How'd that conversation go?
He's like, man, it'll be fine. I said, we had a number of dates that we were looking at. He volunteered to play with the group. It was really cool. He wanted to help out in any way. He was spreading the word to try to get audition candidates around, and he was just like, dude, these things happen. It's fine. It's going to be great. And so he was in a time where I kind of freaked out. He was a really calming and soothing voice. It was awesome.
Well, how did you find the three new guys, and did they all come on at the same time, or did you? I mean, obviously the two of you had to hire three guys. Did you hire one, and then the three of you hired the next, and then, or did you just?
So Steve O'Connor, the remaining trumpet player, and I basically hired the other three guys separately. We felt like the relationship between the trombones was going to be important. So when we hired Josh first, we asked his opinion on the remaining trombone candidates. And so when Jeff was hired, Josh's opinion was known. But by and large, it was Steve and I who made those decisions.
How are you guys structured as a business? Did those guys come on as partners, or are you what's your form of incorporation?
Yeah, when we started out at the very beginning, we looked at all the different business models, and we decided to go the Boston route, where everyone is a partner in the business, and everyone has a fair share. Everyone has a 20% vote and ownership over the group.
And has that worked out pretty well with the new guys?
Yeah. It's we always have a bit of a trial period, but right now it's fabulous. The guys are great. They're wonderful contributing members and partners in this ensemble.
Do you want to maybe share with just us and the podcast audience like what the pluses and minuses of the guys that are still on the trial period are? Or?
Each one.
Yeah.
Start with the minuses.
Yeah. Let's just say one of them likes to open mouth chew, and in the car.
Right.
See,
that's the stuff that nobody talks about. Is that living part.
Yeah,
it's that kind of stuff that you just want to toss them out the window.
Imagine dealing with that for 330 out of 365 days a year.
Right. There are no normal people doing what you do, Scott.
Yeah.
No.
There are a few that start out normal, and then and then they end up like Lance and I guess would be the succinct way to put that.
So I know because I'm sort of helping. You guys are in the middle of putting together a new show. What's that? Did the idea for that come out of necessity? I mean, you're hiring three new guys. Let's just come up with a new show, or had that been in the works?
It'd been in the works. It's a show called Road Trip, where we're going to take the audience on the road with the quintet, from the beginning, and then at the end of the show will be an actual concert or a mini version of the concert, and we'll take out the audience, through radio tunes and car games and all sorts of different things. We basically came up with this idea because we wanted to do some repertoire that was a little bit more relevant to younger audiences, and so the idea of doing current pop hits kind of came up. Maybe going a little bit of the piano guys route of doing some music videos with current pop hits and that sort of thing. And so I came up with the road trip idea as a vehicle to try to incorporate some of those.
Okay, so we are experiencing some technical difficulties. That sound you just heard was Scott slapping himself in the face because it is 7:37 a.m. right now in lovely Burley, Idaho, where he and the boys are on the road right now. So we're having some Skype issues because, well, the whole world has had Skype issues since Microsoft bought them. Thanks, Microsoft. Yeah, this is going to be a really fun episode for our wonderful producers, Austin Boyer and Buddy Deschler, to put together since we've had to restart a few times. So you're welcome, gentlemen. So we were just talking about programming. So how do you? Well, first question, I guess, is that you hired Lance as a consultant to help you with that, and I guess the question on everyone's mind would be why?
Why?
He has a devastatingly handsome face, and we just wanted to be able to see that on a Skype call as often as humanly possible.
Mm-hmm. It's devastating. I'm not sure about that.
The guy knows what he's doing.
Wait,
you're already on the. You don't have to kiss my. We're already here. It's fine. That was just awful.
I think that they wanted to have a failed brass quintet musician on the calls to remind them that if they ever stopped hustling, that this is what would happen.
You know what we need? We need the after picture. Who could we get for the after picture? Oh, I know. Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah. See, when your when the brass quintet career doesn't work out, then you end up just hosting podcasts with technical difficulties. So it really is living the dream.
Is the dream Burley, Idaho too?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah.
Fortunately, yeah.
Yes.
Made it. Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not surprising that he said we're in Burley, and then I immediately was like, hey, that reminds me of a story. One time when I was in Burley, Idaho, and it was kind of a funny encounter we had at a restaurant, and then we were off and running, and you can just kind of throw a small town out and like, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Sam Palafian would tell you what food he had.
Yep.
I remember I'd be out when I was in the River City Brass before I joined Boston Brass. We did a fair amount of touring, and we'd be in a Burley or some similar place. And Dennis Caldwell, who was the conductor at the time, and I would be having a meal or just hanging out, and he'd go, it's not always going to be this glamorous. Sometimes we're going to have to pay our dues so we can have gigs like this.
Well, let's talk about touring a little bit. I guess let's start with what does the tour that you're on right now look like? How many days are you out, and where did you just come from, and where are you headed?
Well, this season overall, we're going to be gone 125 days. And that's travel days included and everything. It's about 60 or 70 concerts. Right now, let's see, we started out this tour in San Diego. We flew up to Washington, did Oregon, Northern California, and we just left Nevada, in Idaho. In fact, I think we're actually on the tail of Monozzle. It seemed like when I was looking at their tour schedule, we're like,
there's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, I know.
That reminds.
It can be a country song.
How do I save this one?
Too late.
We're about 2 days away from them. They were in Idaho, I think, 2 days ago, and we're going to Montana. They are in Montana right now, going to Utah, and we're just kind of following them around. So we end up in Minnesota in about a week. So we're on the road for about 3 weeks. We're going to be home for about a week, and then again, going to be out for another 2 weeks in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. So,
wow, so 5 out of 6
show,
weeks.
Living the dream.
The show right now. So you're playing one show and trying to develop and learn a new one simultaneously, yeah? How would you describe your current show?
The current show is called Sounds of the Cinema. It's a bunch of movie music, classical music used in movies and some, original film scores and that sort of, and have some video that we show with it. So the multimedia aspect there is pretty popular. It's a show that kind of developed over time. We're still playing a few tunes like the Fantasia movements, Adagio. We've tweaked West Side Story quite a bit from the original Jack Gale that we used when we first went out, but because now we rewrote most of the arrangements and. But some of these tunes are holdovers from 9 years ago when we first started. So doing a new show next season is going to be welcomed.
Talk about the multimedia stuff. Do you bring a projector? What do you require of the hall? Like how does that all work?
The tech writer stipulates our requirements. Basically, we use the house projector. And we just bring a laptop with a video presentation and hook up the laptop. The laptop sits at the front of the stage, and then we use a remote to switch from slide to slide. And it's been a big hit. Yeah, it's great.
Is that something? These are all questions I know the answers to. Is that something you're looking at utilizing with the new show? What are your hopes or thoughts in terms of direction for the new show?
I feel like I should be asking you that question.
Well,
given that you are planning this new show,
that's true.
Tell me how that works out for you. Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be an at least entertaining for me follow-up interview.
Well, it's no secret that I like to. I sort of think like a meat packer. I want to use everything from the snout to the tail, and so if there's a guy who can juggle with his feet, I want to find a way to make that work. And so bringing out all of the different sounds and talents that you guys have, and then knowing that you have utilized this sort of video technology, I think there's a huge opportunity there. And I know that in our initial conversations that you, like I, really look to what Manozel has done in terms of setting a standard of
meat packing.
Meatpacking and a cohesive structure and a through line and a storyline, I think, is the right direction to go. You don't like the meatpacking thing? Did I shut it down with the meatpacking thing? Have I never said that? I use that all the time. I guess that's...
You probably said it in a bunch of Boston Brass Master classes when I was not paying attention to what you were saying.
Snout to tail.
I think this is when we're supposed to ask him a question, but we're just kind of talking amongst ourselves. Oh, hey, look, it's Scott Sutherland. How did you get on this call?
Well, you guys just here. I'll segue for us.
Thank you.
So you just did you did a couple of showcases with the initial bits of the DNA for this new show, and talk about what the prep for that was like and how it. I know I saw the video of it, and from what I could tell, it seems like it was received pretty well. But why don't you talk about what it was and how the people in the room reacted and how they've reacted after the fact, if at all?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, we Lance, you and I had talked a little bit about the kind of tunes that we might want to do. We just to give the audience a general idea of the tone of the show. We chose some tunes that had to do with traveling Route 66 on the road again. I did a kind of a Dixieland second line version of On the Road Again with piccolo trumpet playing, kind of the clarinet line and that sort of thing, which is a lot of fun. That's the way we kind of walk in. I did an arrangement of Carry On My Wayward Son, which went very, very well. People got into that. As soon as you see the audience kind of rocking out, you're doing something right.
Well, it introduces the piano right away too, which is nice. I mean, it's the second thing, and you do that sort of march-in thing, and now within the first 7 minutes, we've got another sound, which is the piano. I mean, they see it, obviously. The audience comes in and they can see it on stage, but to integrate it right away, I thought was pretty effective.
Yeah, and then we kind of segued into a tune. I did a mashup of spy melodies, spy movie medleys, The Incredibles, James Bond, and what's the other one?
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible. Yeah, and that has a little shaker in it. Another
it's about that big
sound. It's about. Yeah,
that's right.
And,
no, it's a really clever. I want to interrupt you for a second because that's a super clever. It was your idea. The mashup was your idea, and the execution was fantastic. He takes these three tunes. We talk about the setup was that we watch a lot of movies when we're on the road, and one of the favorite genres is spy movies, and so he sets up the vamp basically for Mission Impossible, and then builds this mashup of the three tunes with that multimeter feel, and I just thought it worked great. I thought it was really cool.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and our lead trumpet Miles plays the snot out of some of these high notes, and man, it gets the crowd going.
He's
yeah. And then
why are you guys saying nice things about trumpet players?
I know
it's tough.
I need another cup of coffee.
It goes against our mission statement.
I haven't had my tea this morning, and so I'm just not thinking straight.
I'll freeze up. It's okay.
Yeah, and then we finished it up with the Nat King Cole classic, Route 66, and we had Josh sing on that one, which again, it's a different sound. We're just trying. In fact, we played a little name that tune with name that tune bit with the audience. And at one point, we played Moves Like Jagger. We had a guy whistling. We had a guy pounding the bass drum on the guitar kind of sound. We had a guitar playing. We had a shaker, basically, but no brass instruments at all.
Right.
And that was something that was really important to me to try to dispel this myth that all brass is all the same. It's amazing talking to presenters. They will have 3 string quartets playing on their set, in a season, but they will only have brass every few years.
Right.
As if you can get overloaded with that, or if it all sounds the same. And so we're trying to dispel that as much as we possibly can by adding all these different instruments and this different tonal palette.
Hey, this is Lance. We'll get you right back to the interview in just a minute. I wanted to, first of all, thank you all for listening. You've been wonderful. We've got hundreds of you that are listening to every episode, and that's just great. It's very rewarding to Andrew and me. And we wanted to let you know that if you're interested in helping us cover the costs associated with recording and uploading and storing these podcasts, there's a quick and easy way for you to do that, and that's through a site called Patreon, Patreon. And at Patreon, if you sign up through that site, you can pick a dollar amount, $1, $3, $5, $10, however much you want. And every time we upload an episode, your account will be deducted for that amount. And you can set an upper limit per month or per year so that if we end up uploading additional content, that you won't be charged more than wherever you set that limit. You also will get access to some free downloads and behind the scenes things that Andrew and I are working on in preparing for future episodes. So if you're interested in helping out, we'd love to have you help you. Thank you very much for listening. Spread the word. Visit pedalnotemedia.com, click on the donate button, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. And now, back to your regularly scheduled podcast, already in progress.
Different tonal palette.
In their defense, I would argue that a whole lot of brass groups do all sound the same. Not to us because it's inside baseball, but it's very it's super creative. I haven't heard any of this. So I'm not working on the show with you, and it all sounds like I actively want to hear this because it sounds really interesting. So yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
How did the presenters? So you did a showcase, and if you're not familiar with what a showcase is, it's an audience of people who can hire you to come play concerts at their place. And so, what was the reaction by that group?
Oh, it was incredibly positive. We got a lot of people in there that had seen our showcase for Sounds of the Cinema before and said that this was a huge step up. They loved the humor. They loved the fact that we were breaking down that fourth wall. We start out in the audience. The Name That Tune bit is in the audience. During Route 66, I take a big piano solo, and the rest of the guys go out into the audience, and there's just a lot of interaction. There's, that fourth wall just does not exist, and I think that's an important thing to highlight.
You talked about the piano guys as another piece of inspiration in terms of direction. What sort of plans are there for turning these into videos?
Well, I think there'll be a segment. And it's a good thing that we're having this conversation because
he's charging you for this hour.
Is
Yes.
that what this is? Oh, good. We never did discuss my fee for this.
That's right. I know.
Okay.
Oh, I know.
So
That was intentional.
yeah, I'm sure. No, I mean, I think there's going to be a portion of the show that we are going to set aside for whatever is the top, in the top 3 hits on the radio right at that moment.
Right.
We could probably change that out every few weeks or a month or two. And whatever those tunes are, we can take those tunes and create music videos with those tunes and try to create a sense of relevancy to the younger audiences out there. I think that's the idea.
I think that's a good idea. Do you have a overall sort of social media strategy yet, or is that going to unfold as we put the show together?
Yeah, that's gonna unfold. We just took a bunch of promo pictures for that, and we're kind of holding on to those, to try to come as soon as we have a strategy.
They're very cool shots. I thought they.
Oh, thanks, man.
Really well, yeah.
Yeah, I have a former student out at the University of Redlands who owns a incredible early '70s VW van, and we took it out in the desert, kind of looking Route 66-ish, and took some pictures out there, and it was quite effective. The photographer was fabulous, and some very, very cool shots.
We have a friend named Leslie Tan who lives in Singapore, who is a member of the Tang String Quartet, who owns a hot pink Vanagon, which he drives around Singapore. And those guys we've been out to dinner with them in Singapore, and people already will just like walk by our table and say like, oh, huge fan of yours. Like they're kind of rock stars there. But then he's also a rock star because of his car. And so, yeah, it's rather odd. You get stared at a lot when you drive around this big, huge modern city in this bright pink Vanagon. So, yeah, I'm assuming that your buddy's one is not bright pink.
No, it's more of a beige. It's a little bit more understated than bright pink.
No, it's a beige.
Yeah, it sounds more like that Leslie guy sounds more like Angelina from Los Angeles with her bright pink Corvette. Do you guys know anything about this? Okay. She had billboards all over Los Angeles in the 80s and 90s, and she'd drive around in her hot pink Corvette and get lots of looky-loos.
What? And she played in a brass quintet?
Must be trumpet.
Sure. She
she studied with Jens.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, nice job, Lance. Man, wow. Lance LaDuke is a professional podcaster. It is a gift. Right. Yes.
He did not double down on that one though. If
yes,
he righted the train. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, there is that. So, I'll never forget the first time that I did double down on awkward. Yeah, it's just like where you just kind of like, and I have actually, Lance has been there. I've actually said to audiences before, say like, it's okay when you don't laugh. It makes me feel alive. Which, I've actually said those words to to like a large number of people before, and that usually like the knuckleheads in the audience, like us, who are maybe not digging it, that makes them laugh really hard. But it's just like maybe 5 people laugh hard, and the rest of them just stare at you, and then the rest of the band is getting uncomfortable, except for Lance, who's like, "Yeah, man, keep it up. This is awesome. Yeah, this is great."
I think I'm gonna have to try that. Butte, Montana's tonight. I think. I think that's on the docket.
Your lack of approval makes me feel alive.
I played for the students on Thursday at Carnegie Mellon, and I did a couple euphonium things and then some ukulele tunes, and I was talking between and just cracking jokes and setting stuff up, and a bunch of them are just dropping it. Finally, after like the third one, I was like, "Really, nothing?" Killed them. Like they were like, "Oh my god, what happened?" Get a little antagonistic with them. Come on, people. This is like there's people got to pay for this entertainment. You're just sitting here, you're not even doing anything. Yeah, come on.
So Lance's segue into Jens was so perfect that I wanted to ruin it by talking for 3 more minutes, so that we then have to re-segue back into it. It's what we do here at Pedal Note Media.
See, now I'm going to interrupt you again with the Larry. The Larry David story, when Larry David, the co-creator of Seinfeld, he used to do stand-up. And one time he goes out on stage. They later introduce him, Larry David. He goes out, he looks at the audience. He goes, "I don't think so." And turns around and walks off.
No. That's awesome.
Whole bit. Oh, my God. It's my hero.
You should try that in Butte tonight, man.
There you go.
Yeah, you should try. I don't think so.
Get the check
I don't
first.
think so.
Get the check
Hey guys,
before
let's
the
pack
show.
it up.
Yeah, get the check first is right. And then if you walked out 2 minutes later in street clothes, you just start unpacking. Yeah, that's or packing rather. Yeah, packing up meat packers. See, there we're back to the.
Now we're in word association.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, this is. I was going to say that this interview is going downhill, but with my opening segue, it was never really up a hill. It's just kind of started low, and we're staying there. So, all right. So 8 minutes ago, we had that masterful segue about Jens, and you do know Jens, right, Scott? You
I do.
You live close to him, right?
I was I was at UCLA for his first year when he came on board there.
Nice.
And
what was that like? How did UCLA react to the beginning of the Jens Lindemann era?
Well, everyone was really excited at first.
Well done.
He actually put on a mind-blowing recital at the very, very beginning, and it was breathtaking. It was great.
Was he on a jet ski?
He started the whole thing out with "Girl with the Flaxen Hair" from the very back on a soaring note. I wouldn't even know what it was, and he started walking up there, and he sounded great. It was all downhill from there. I mean, it was, but that was the way to introduce himself to the UCLA community. That's for sure.
When it's in the right hands, all trumpet notes are soaring. Yeah, unless you're having chop problems.
Oh, something? I've heard about those, and it is my understanding that Jens is actually taking a sabbatical. So I want to thank you guys, because I really feel like this whole Pray for Jens campaign, it allowed him to like have an awareness out there of his issues, and I think it gave him the confidence to ask for the sabbatical. And take some time to himself, to work on his chop problems. I mean, it's really up to you guys. I mean, it was really fabulous that you guys did all this. Thank you from the brass community. It's you did a great service.
We need Jens back.
It's beautiful.
It's
really beautiful. It's what we do. We care about it.
We do. Oh my goodness.
There's no chance this is as funny to anybody listening as it is to us.
No, that's the beautiful thing. One of my favorite moments of all of our interviews here at the Brass Junkies was when I think it was before Carol Janch's interview, when we were telling her about the Pray for Jens campaign and preparing her for the question, and then told her that there was a prayforjens.org website and that you could get like T-shirts and stickers and coffee mugs and
onesies,
and baby onesies, and she just looked right in the camera. She said, "Wow, you guys really can drive a joke into the ground." And that's what we said. Yeah, we've basically based a podcast on that concept, and so yes, wise words from Carol as usual. So, all right, Lance, what do we have anything else to ask this young man before we send him to the breakfast bar?
You guys have are you going to put a CD out with the new thing? What's the plan for merch?
Yeah, I mean that's something we haven't gotten our tune list from our guy that's planning the.
Well,
the
there's
show
that.
Yet. So as soon as we get that, we can work on the arrangements, and most certainly there's going to be some tie-in. We've kind of talked about different random merch items that you could have, a trucker wheel flaps hats. And and trucker hats, and I don't know, dude, there's got to be something bumper in there stickers. That we'd like to do, but
cup cozy.
CD is a must, that's for sure. Everyone walks up to the CD table and say, well, what's the CD that you played tonight? Where are the tunes that you played tonight?
Are CDs
and certainly
for you guys?
What's that?
Are CDs still moving well for you guys?
Oh yeah, it was great. I mean, we're still like hitting that 10% mark that is usually the goal. 10% of the audience in CD sales.
Sure.
That is that's a mark that we hit pretty consistently. We had a great show last night, and just killed it.
Sort of the last place that CDs are bought is for live events, from what I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been trying. Oh, I'm sorry. We tried these download cards, and
yeah, we did too.
Yeah, and not so much. Not with this audience.
They want something more tangible. I think it's also a little abstract. Like you're giving them a to-do list. You got to take this card. You got to go home. You got to log onto the computer. You got to go find this site. You got to put this code in. Then you got to download the tunes. Then you got to. It was just a little too much.
I told them to put the card up to their ear like a seashell.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, one of these older ladies, she grabbed the download card and she handed it to us and said, "So are you supposed to sign this?" And she wanted our autograph, but for whatever reason, the download card just wasn't adequate for her needs, and she didn't quite understand what was involved with it. So the CD is great for autographs too, and so.
What's the best way to find out what's going on with you guys? How to track you down? Website, streaming, social media?
Yeah, we're certainly PresidioBrass.com. We're on Facebook, and that's probably the Instagram. We're on all those platforms.
How'd the name come around?
When we first started the group, everyone submitted names. We had a list of almost 300 brass quintet names.
Wow.
It was totally random, and it was a process of about 2 weeks of slowly whittling it down. My wife recommended the name because we wanted something
Smart man.
Yeah, right? It's Presidios were Spanish forts that were built when they first came up from Mexico and started settling in California. They were all built along the coast as forts to kind of look out for invading armadas. So it helped, and the one in San Diego was the first one built by the Spanish. So we're kind of named after that one. We wanted something that kind of connoted California, the beach, and these sorts of things. The most famous one is up in San Francisco. But they're all along the beach. We wanted that kind of California vibe. So, most of our pictures are all we have this one picture where I'm playing piano on, on an ocean cliff, overlooking the water. So, we have a signature color blue, so
How often do you have to explain what you just explained? That sounds like a thing you tell after every concert.
Yeah, about 6 or 7 times. Yeah. Does it sound rehearsed?
No, just to somebody who's been in the trenches like we have. They're like, oh, okay, that's the origin story right there.
I used to love when someone would come up to me in the audience when JD was still in Boston Brass and would ask me why the horn player puts the hand in the bell. It used to make him so mad that he had to answer that question like 5 times a night on average. Some nights was 2, some nights was 9. And so every time I said, "Oh, you should go over to go over to JD and be sure to." See, that's how you pass the time when you're on the road 6 months a year. Is like, how could I upset my good friend Lance? Yeah, because that's gonna make me happy because I'm a horrible person. So yes, you'd send JD over, and JD is also not a huge fan of hugs. So if anyone would come up and give me a hug, then I would always say,
who needs one right now?
JD Shaw loves hugs. He looks like it's just walk right up to him and just give him a hug, even if he's talking to somebody. Nice. And then you could the next person that come up and talk to you, be like, hold on, we need to look over there because there's a show about to happen. So I love you, JD.
I don't think he's made it this far into this particular episode.
No, you're probably, by this far you mean had downloaded it in the first place. I think you're probably right. So, cool. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to plug, Scott?
Well, I'd like to take the opportunity to just mention the Pokorny Low Brass Seminar. I'm involved in that at the University of Redlands. Gene went to Redlands when he started out as an undergraduate, and he comes back once a year. This year we have Gene coming back for 5 days in July, and he's bringing with him Randy Hawes, bass trombone of the Detroit Symphony. We have Tim Higgins of the San Francisco Symphony. Sergio Carolino is coming out as well, and it's 5 days of intense master classes, incredible recitals. It's a great, and I lead a high school component to it, which has been very successful. We've got some really enthusiastic high schoolers that come and play in ensembles and master classes and get to work with people like Gene Pokorny. So it's pretty cool. I'm really excited about it. So
that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Scott, for waking up so super early. You got a long day today. You got to drive to Montana, and then you playing the show tonight.
Yeah, it's gonna be 7 hours in the car, and then play a show. Living the dream. Yeah, that's right. No, thanks.
It won't always be
this
glamorous.
That's right. This has been quite an honor. We're the whole quintet. We're all huge fans of everything that you guys have been doing, the podcast and everything. It's a great conversation starter, and we really appreciate it.
Cool. Well, say hi to everybody but the trumpets for us.
And we'll do.
Yeah.
I don't talk to them anyway, so it's excellent. It's convenient.
Yeah.
Tell Jeff Durbin he's sharp. He needs to pull out on those Fs.
And thank you for the story about how you sent Jeff an email under an alias in order to get recon. That made my day. It's like
and then hit him up for advice later.
Yeah, that's all.
That's a win-win right there.
I love the music business. I love everything about it. So
I don't think I ever told him that. I think I was just outed. So
yeah, I'm gonna send him a very cryptic like you need to, because he'll get so nervous. Like you need to listen to the Scott Sutherland Brass Junkies interview. Trust me, you need to listen to it. Which actually reminds me, and I bet he will download it immediately because he'll be so nervous about like what was said about him. But that reminds me, this is the perfect thing to end on. Maybe my favorite moment ever in the van in the 14 years, which there's a lot of candidates. But there was a time when Jeff was driving the minivan, and we were all in the same van for whatever reason, and Lance was directly behind him in the seat right behind him, and Lance leaned forward and so that he was kind of right behind him. And Lance's hands were by his side, like
I was reading a magazine or something.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like he was he was not about to touch him at all, and he just leaned forward and he said, "Hey," this is while Jeff's driving down the road. He said, "Hey Jeff, let me know when you can feel this." And Jeff was like, "What are you doing?" He's like swatting, and he's turning around, and he's like, and the car starts swerving, and like. And he got so freaked out. Like, I mean, and Lance is sitting back at this point, flipping through a magazine. Like, just it was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, just oh man.
I'm hopeful that he still like wakes up sometimes. Like,
yeah, with just 10 words. Hey Jeff, let me know when you can feel this, and that was. Yep, that's called being in a professional brass quintet, ladies and gentlemen. So, all right, Scott from Presidio Brass, thank you so much for waking up so early for us, and Thanks, is going to do it for another episode of the Brass Junkies. You've been listening to The Brass Junkies on the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network. If you would like to help support the podcast in order to make more episodes like this one possible, please visit pedalnotemedia.com/donate for more details. Also, be sure to check out our latest recording, The Brass Recording Project, at brassrecordingproject.com. The Brass Junkies is produced by Austin Boyer and Buddy Deschler of the Fredericksburg Brass Institute. Executive producers are Andrew Hitz and Lance LaDuke. This has been a presentation of the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network.